He knocked my graduation cake off the table. Frosting splattered across the patio. Candles rolled under guests' feet, and my 10-year-old nephew grinned. "Eat it off the ground, Aunt Daisy," he said. The whole table burst out laughing, my mother the loudest. I stood there, knife still in my hand, wondering how love could sound so cruel. I didn't say a word. I just walked out while their laughter followed me into the dark. That night my phone lit up. "Mom, we've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away forever." A red heart blinked beside it. Amanda's reaction. I typed one line in reply. That's when everything changed. The backyard had looked perfect, like something from a magazine. String lights, laughter, barbecue smoke drifting through the warm Idaho air. From the outside, it was the picture of family, but standing there with a paper plate in my hand, I felt the thin film of tension no one ever named. Mom, Linda, floated between guests, all charm and smiles. Amanda, glowing in a floral dress, sat at the center of attention, with her son Liam perched beside her. "Tell us about Florida," someone called. Amanda laughed. "It was amazing. Mom made us stay an extra week." Mom waved off the praise. "Well, they work so hard. They deserve it." I smiled, because that's what you're supposed to do. No one asked about Seattle. No one asked about my degree. My cake sat at the far corner of the table, white frosting, blue letters that read, "Congrats, Daisy," pushed beside half-empty soda cans. Each time someone brushed past, it wobbled a little, like it didn't matter whether it stayed standing. I stared at it too long, because it felt like me, lovely, forgotten, barely balanced. A breeze rippled the lights. For a heartbeat, I believed this time might be different. Then Liam called out, "Aunt Daisy, Mom says you only got your degree so you can brag." Laughter again, sharp, cutting. Mom didn't stop him. Amanda hid her smile behind her wine glass. I thought of all the times I'd been told to share, to sacrifice, to be strong and silent. My throat burned, but I swallowed it. When Liam shoved the cake off the edge, everything slowed. The porcelain plate shattering, frosting splattering across my shoes, gasps, turning back into laughter. No one told him to apologize. Not even Dad, scrolling on his phone. Mom's voice floated through the noise, light and mocking. "Oh, come on, Daisy. Don't be so sensitive." I set the knife down, untied my apron, and walked toward the door. Each step echoed across the deck, their laughter chasing me, like music from a party I'd never been invited to. Outside, the air was colder, the sky bruised with dusk. I drove away without a word, without tears. Just a hollow certainty that something inside me had snapped for good. Hours later, the Idaho highway stretched empty ahead, my headlights carving through the dark. Their laughter replayed in my head, plates clinking, Mom's voice like a ghost. "Don't be so sensitive." When I reached Seattle, rain slid down my apartment windows. I dropped my keys, kicked off my shoes, and let the silence fill the room. My phone buzzed again. For a moment, I hoped it might be an apology. Instead, we've chosen to sever all contact. Stay away forever. The red heart appeared seconds later. Amanda again. I stared at the glow of the screen. My reflection faint, almost gone. No tears, no anger, just quiet, like my body had finally stopped trying to prove it could feel. I sat staring at the glowing screen, the blue light flickering across my apartment walls. My laptop had opened to an old spreadsheet. My budget tracker, 2 rows stood out. Parents' mortgage, $400 month. Amanda's SUV, $640 month. Both loans co-signed by me. Both payments quietly withdrawn from my account for the past 3 years. I'd signed those papers because Mom had smiled and said, "You're the responsible one, honey. Just help the family out." Back then, it had sounded like love. Now, it looked like a leash. Rain hit the windows harder, drops pattering like a clock, counting down to something inevitable. I scrolled through old messages, years of polite thank yous, and guilt-laced excuses, just until Amanda's business picks up. Your dad's between jobs again. We'll handle the payments next month. But next month never came. The heaviness in my chest shifted. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was clarity. I opened a new message. My fingers moved slowly, each word deliberate, final, removing my name from every loan tomorrow. No emojis, no explanation. I hit send. The phone chimed once, then went silent. I placed it face down on the table. The rain softened outside. I poured a glass of water and watched condensation trace slow paths down the glass. For the first time, silence didn't feel like surrender. It felt like control. They'd wanted me gone. Fine. But this time, they were the ones who would feel the absence. Morning came gray and cold. The kind of Seattle dawn that makes everything look rinsed clean. I brewed coffee and watched steam twist into the air, thinking how easily endings come. Not with shouting, but with a single message. By 9 a.m., my phone was buzzing nonstop. Mom, Dad, Amanda. Unknown numbers from Boise. 100 missed calls. The family group chat filled with demands, guilt, threats. You've gone too far. Do you know what you're doing to us? We raised you. Not one message said, I'm sorry. I didn't reply. Instead, I pulled on a gray sweater, tied my hair back, and opened my laptop. Green First Bank, downtown Seattle branch. Mr. Diaz met me in a quiet consultation office with soft blue walls and a single fern in the corner. He looked to be in his 50s, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Miss Wilson, he said, extending his hand. I reviewed the documents you sent. I think I understand what's happening. I sat down across from him. I co-signed 2 loans, one for my parents' house, one for my sister's SUV. I've been paying them for years. I just want out. He nodded slowly. You're not the first person to be taken advantage of under the word family. He slid a stack of papers across the desk. If you can prove you hold no ownership or financial interest in their property, we can begin the liability release process. You'll also have the option to freeze joint credit access. I handed him the folder I'd brought. Lease agreements, pay stubs, email chains, and an old text from Mom that read, "The house is ours. You just help sign." He read silently, then looked up. "Everything we need is here." He picked up the phone and called legal. "Let's start the release process for Daisy Wilson. Co-borrower removal, effective immediately." The click of his pen sounded small, but it felt seismic. My hands trembled as I signed. Each signature was like cutting another invisible string that had bound me for years. When he stamped the final page, the thud echoed through the quiet room. He smiled gently. "You did the right thing, Miss Wilson. Sometimes protecting yourself is the only way to teach others to respect you." Outside, the wind bit cold against my cheeks, but my chest felt lighter than it had in years. I stopped at a cafe on the corner. The barista handed me a cappuccino with a smile. "Have a good day." I met her eyes and said something I hadn't truly meant in years. "I will." That evening, as I stirred pasta in my small kitchen, my phone buzzed again. The family group chat lit up again, messages flooding the screen like sparks from a dying fire. "How dare you ruin our credit? You're heartless. You'll regret this." I typed one calm line. I just stopped paying for people who laughed when my cake hit the floor. Then I pressed send and set the phone down. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was freedom. 3 days passed before the knock came. Sharp, angry, relentless. Each pound vibrated through the thin walls of my Seattle apartment. I froze mid-step, the pot of boiling pasta hissing behind me. My stomach twisted with certainty before I even checked the video intercom. On the screen stood my mother and Amanda, 2 faces I knew by heart, now twisted with fury. Mom's lips were drawn tight, her arms folded like armor. Amanda's eyes were wide, red-rimmed, her mask dangling uselessly around her neck. "Daisy!" Mom's voice cracked through the door, high and trembling. "Open this door right now. We need to talk. What did you do with the bank?" I didn't move. The hallway camera showed them fidgeting, glancing nervously as neighbors peeked from their doors. Amanda's voice rose, sharp and panicked. "You ruined everything. The bank froze our accounts. Mom's credit is gone. My car's about to be repossessed. You think this is funny?" Funny. The word stung. Not because of what she said, but because that's all I'd ever been to them. The joke, the strong one, the one who didn't get to break. I took a slow breath and steadied my voice. Then I unlocked my phone and opened the 911 app. "Seattle Police Department," I whispered. "Two individuals are outside my apartment yelling and refusing to leave. I'd like to report trespassing. Do you know them?" The dispatcher asked. "Yes," I said softly, eyes fixed on the monitor. "They're my family, but today, they're just people violating my boundary." Outside, the pounding grew louder. Amanda's hand slammed against the door. "Daisy, you're destroying this family. You think cutting us off makes you strong? You're selfish, heartless." Mom's voice cracked, half fury, half desperation. "We're your parents. You don't treat family like enemies." 10 minutes later, red and blue lights painted the street below. Two officers arrived, a man and a woman, calm and deliberate. Through the intercom, I watched as they approached my mother first. "She's my daughter," Mom shouted, pointing toward my door. "She destroyed our finances. We just want to talk to her." Amanda's voice broke into sobs. "She almost cost me my car. My fiancé is threatening to leave me because of her credit. She's heartless." The male officer raised a steady hand. "Ma'am, this is private property. If she's asked you to leave, you need to leave. She's my child." Mom yelled, "I have rights." He shook his head. "You have rights as a mother, but not the right to trespass on an adult's residence." The camera jolted slightly as Amanda backed away, her shoulders collapsing under the weight of it all. For a fleeting second, guilt brushed against me. Soft, familiar, but I pushed it aside. I remembered the laughter, the frosting splattered across the ground, the silence that had swallowed me whole. Not again. Through the speaker, I spoke quietly, my voice steady. "If they act like intruders, then the line between family and boundary no longer exists." The officer turned toward the camera and nodded once. Understanding everything without another word, he gestured toward the stairs. "This conversation is over. Let's go." Mom's face twisted with betrayal. "You'll regret this, Daisy. Blood doesn't disappear just because you say so." I didn't answer. The door stayed closed. They left under the slow rotation of police lights, their footsteps heavy, defeated, fading into the stairwell. When the silence returned, it wasn't fragile. It was full, like oxygen rushing into a room sealed too long. I slid down the wall, my back against the floorboards, the phone still recording. My hands trembled, not with fear, but with release. The audio kept running, capturing the only sound that mattered now. My steady breathing in a home that finally, truly, belonged to me. I replayed their voices, the pleading, the anger, and saved the audio file under one word: boundaries. April 17th, 2025. That night, I stood by the window and watched the city breathe beneath me. Cars slid through wet streets, headlights glinting across the asphalt. Somewhere below, people laughed, ordered coffee, lived their ordinary lives. And in that quiet apartment, high above it all, a family had fallen apart without a single scream. The next morning, my inbox filled again. But this time, not with bills or apologies. It was worse. A Facebook post. Mom's profile picture, smiling beside bold, angry text. "Sometimes the child you trust most betrays you the worst. Daisy stole from her parents and ruined our credit. Some people never learn gratitude." Beneath it, the comments poured in. Neighbors, relatives, strangers, with familiar last names. So ungrateful. Poor Linda, after all she's done, and one that twisted the knife deeper. I heard she used her parents' money to buy that Seattle apartment. I stared at the screen. The old me would have panicked, written long explanations, begged people to believe the truth. But not this time. They were throwing fire. I refused to burn. I opened a new email instead. Short, calm, deliberate. Subject, clarification, personal matter. Hi team. If you see rumors about me online, please ignore them. Some people fight boundaries with lies. I'm fine and appreciate your professionalism and privacy. Daisy. Then I closed my laptop. The truth doesn't need shouting. It only needs time. 3 days later, an envelope appeared on my office desk. The letterhead read, Green First Bank. Inside was a formal document. Signed by Mr. Diaz himself. This letter confirms that Miss Daisy Wilson has been fully released from all liabilities concerning the joint mortgage and vehicle loan under the names of Linda and Amanda Wilson. At the bottom, the embossed gold seal shimmered in the light. My fingers traced my own signature. The moment everything had truly changed. It wasn't revenge. It was justice. That evening, the Facebook post vanished. Maybe someone told Mom the truth. Maybe the bank did. It didn't matter. The damage was irrelevant now, because I'd finally stopped living for their approval. Still, my phone buzzed again. A message from a number I hadn't saved in months. You'll pay for this, Daisy. You think you've won. I smiled faintly. Winning was never the point. Freedom was. I turned back to the window. Seattle stretched out beneath me like a map of second chances. The air smelled of coffee and rain. Sharp. Alive, clean. For the first time, I felt unchained. Sometimes silence isn't weakness. It's power, finally speaking for itself. Weeks passed. The noise died down. No more midnight calls. No more whispers online. The silence that once haunted me now wrapped around me like peace. I focused on work at Green Pulse Tech, finishing a project that earned me a quiet promotion. During the meeting, Lydia, our CEO, smiled and said, Daisy, you lead with steadiness. People trust that. It was the first time anyone had ever said those words without expectation. At home, life found rhythm again. Yoga at sunrise, soup simmering at dusk, laughter with friends who saw me, not what I could provide. Elena brought flowers. Marcus teased me about the cactus on my windowsill. It looks like me, he said. Calm, but don't touch. For the first time, I laughed easily. Then one morning, a message arrived from Mr. Diaz. A framed copy of your release letter now hangs in our compliance office. We use it as an example of boundary protection. I smiled, coffee warming my hands. For once, I wasn't someone's safety net or silent backbone. I was just Daisy, whole, free, finally belonging to myself. A year later, my phone lit up with a message from Amanda. I'm sorry for everything. No excuses. No explanations. Just 6 quiet words. I looked at it for a long moment, then set the phone down without replying. Forgiveness, I realized, doesn't always mean reopening the door. Sometimes it means closing it gently and walking away in peace. Outside, Lake Union shimmered under the evening light, calm and endless. I breathed in the cool Seattle air and whispered softly, Welcome home, Daisy. And if you've ever had to cut ties to find yourself again, you're not alone.